over to Jacz. I'm guessing it's Jacz. So Jacz is a Gold 1 rated player. To learn just anything, advice on anything he's doing wrong. Yep, just reading through that. That's it. So let's see here. We've got player view, Jacz. Here we go. Good solid kickoff. Getting behind the ball. Oh, a little unfortunate on the flight there. Coming around, getting boost. You got in good position. This should be an easy clear. I'm not quite sure what happened with the launch. Looks like your car is extra heavy or something, but yeah, I really just waited. I see. So you jumped and waited a little too long to start boosting, so all of your momentum was lost. You weren't able to really accelerate to the ball. I think that was just a mechanical mistake. You got to turn and accelerate at that ball, and get up and poke that out. Another solid kickoff. This should be an easy goal. Oh, nice. So your opponent, who is named, I'm just going to call him Captain Bantapants. So Captain nearly got back for that. You kind of took your time in getting this one back. Once you won the face-off, I'd like to see this get to the goal a little bit quicker. You took your time and kind of flicked it back across the goal, which worked. Captain came back and you were able to sort of flick it past him. But I'd like to see you just score that faster and not have to flick that into the goal, not have to cut it back past a chasing defender. So this is something, having watched this replay before, one thing that stood out to me was there's a bunch of times where it seems like there's no sense of urgency, there's no speed in getting to where you're going. So here, after this kickoff, that ball's going into the corner, and Captain is after it. So you should be hustling back to your goal. You might even be able to get to the corner to be able to hit this ball before Captain does if he takes a detour towards the side boost. You can make a beeline towards that corner boost and be able to get full boost and attack this ball. Instead, you kind of do a couple little boosts, no front flips, just kind of lazily heading towards your goal. So you end up deep in your own goal with less boost and gave Captain plenty of time to get at the ball and make a centering pass here. You're in great defensive position here, but I think this was an opportunity where you didn't have to give up ball possession. You could have attacked, you could have picked up more boost. As it turns out, Captain makes a pretty decent center, but he wasn't able to really follow it up with a shot. Good job of checking the retreating player on that. Here, this is just, it's a really tough shot. You're trying to completely reverse your momentum. So when we get to this point, hit the brakes. Let that ball carry past you so you can hit the ball moving forward. Instead, you let your momentum sort of carry you past it. You briefly try to turn around. It ends up working out all right because you're able to get the next touch and pop it over him. And a good opportunity came out of it. You weren't able to finish, that's fine. Okay, so here, he would have liked to finish it. He made a good bump. Here, you got no business waiting on the wall. There's not much angle here that's going to allow you to score. There's a very small chance that you can hit that ball on the top outside edge as he's trying to save it. and squeeze it into the goal. But he is positioning his car to prevent. What's most likely is he's going to save the ball and be heading back towards your end at a pretty fast rate, and you're going to be chasing. You want to get your car between the ball and your goal. You sort of take your time here and end up pinching the ball out towards your own goal and have to race to save it. That very easily could have been a goal for captain. And here on this clear, just rush this a little. You got to either hit the bottom of that ball to clear it down the field a little further, or be patient and let it roll down so you keep control of it. Here, you're just poking it back out to a waiting defender so that he can get a shot on goal. He gets kind of a weak touch, but an unfortunate backflip again, with the launch into the aerial, just not going the way he expected. He was right on that, able to punish you. But all of that developed because you gave him the ball right here. Right? You gave him the ball there. He sort of poked it to you. You weren't in a great position to be able to clear it a second time so quickly, which caused it to pop up. He feels backflip man, and he's able to spin up. Another good kickoff. You got behind the ball, powered through it. Good quick finish. That was well done. Yeah, I really like the way you're getting your car positioned on these kickoffs. If we pause it right at the moment of impact, right here, this is like textbook. If you go and look at analysis of 1v1 kickoffs, this is what they talk about. You want to get your car centered between the ball and the goal, flipping through the ball towards the opponent's goal. You see he's off center, flipping at the ball. There's nowhere for this ball to go except towards his end. This is really good positioning on your part, and you seem to be able to do this pretty consistently, which is excellent. A little late on the challenge here. You got the boost here. Challenge that a lot quicker. You really need to be right on top of this if you want to have any chance at blocking this. Alternatively, you can go back towards your own goal and not challenge at all and try to save the shot. That's a little riskier because he has so much of the goal to work with at this point. You're not in a great position to be able to save a shot. So just a little bit of hesitation here. You need to be boosting at this ball. Again, this was a pattern I saw a few times where you sort of are lazily going about attacking the ball or going after a ball, giving your opponent more time to make a better touch. You had plenty of boost. You just picked up full boost. You should have been boosting at that ball, jumping, flying to it, and at least getting a 50-50. I like the way you mixed up the kickoff there with a little slight delay. And I'm not sure, no idea what happened to your opponent on that play. Good work getting the ball set up for a flick to try to get it past an opponent who just wasn't there. Yeah, the little delay again was effective. Changing it up on the kickoffs is really important as you move up in levels. Another good bump by him. Again, I'm not sure you're really conserving your boost a lot, which can be useful. But in this case, you've gone past the ball. It's heading towards your end, and he's got possession of it. Get to that ball. Not a great decision to attack this off the wall. I mean, if you're really comfortable with the wall aerial, then sure, go for it. But in the 1v1, even at the pro level, you're not seeing a ton of wall play, off the wall aerials. You really should be following that down to the ground. But it works out. You get the bounce, you're getting some pressure here. waiting a little bit. You know, you got the touch here. You know your opponent is briefly out of the play. I'm not sure why you waited after this bounce. You attack it right here when it's hitting the ground. It's going to bounce off that back wall in front of the goal. You can circle around and get a shot. You let it bounce and let Captain get back to it. And kind of gave up an opportunity to score there. But again, Captain making a pretty poor decision. You know, coming back here. Captain did a great job getting back, disrupting this. Great save. He kind of hit the goal. So if we look from his positioning, hits the goal. That's fine. That ball's in the corner, but he's chasing after it, thinking he's got the next touch. He's got to recognize that, one, the ball being in the corner is not a direct threat, and two, he's not going to be able to get to this ball before you are. So that caused him to attack this. Too late. You were able to poke it past him and score. Good work on your part. He seems to be really susceptible to that delayed kickoff. Good work. Putting that up off the back wall. Keeping the pressure on. And that, again, great work. You don't know where he is here. You don't have a clear sight of him. So you're getting yourself between him and the ball. And I assume you're listening for his boost. And you're able to push it past him and maintain your pressure because you were patient and didn't panic on that. And it works out to be a goal. Good patient gameplay, good positioning of your car here. Right here, you know, you're able to stop any threat of him coming after you and maintain the attack. So he seems to be catching on a little bit to the delayed kickoff. He slowed it down a little bit too, and you both really slow it down one. So, you know, that might be a clue for the next time to change it up again. Good aggressive play on his part there. You know, he wasn't able to get the follow-up quite yet. Oh, there it was. But yeah, I mean, a good play for him to attack that. He's down by 2 goals. He's got to start ramping up the aggression. Chasing back on this ball. He kind of flips out of the play. You know, and you just sort of got there a moment too late. Looked like you were anticipating getting to the ball before him. But again, you watch, no boost, no boost. You flipped, you're kind of feathering your boost. You had plenty of boost and plenty of time to get to this ball well before he hits it. You know, this is a case where that boost conservation really costs you a goal. Good solid kickoff leading to a goal. It's a tough shot here. He's sitting underneath it. Makes it a little more difficult for you. Just a bad angle on that. You know, that'll come with some time, some training. I'm not sure I like this play here. So at this point, I understand the thought process. You want to prevent him from getting a shot here. The way you attacked it, the angle at which you came at it, made it so that you were going to provide a good center for him regardless. Either he was going to hit the ball to the goal, or you were going to bounce the ball off your corner and center it for him. I'd like to see you use more of your boost. Again, hustle down the field to circle around and get between him and your goal so that when you challenge this ball, it's going off to the side or even up the field. You chose a really tight angle chasing him down the field, which left you with very little option. You know, and a poor touch on it just left it wide open. I'm not sure why you circled around. Again, you're sort of taking your time to get the boost, you get to the ball. I like the patience to a certain extent. You know, in this case, you were able to get past the ball, get the ball past him, rather, led to a goal on the other side. If he was being more aggressive, which he really should be, being down a goal here, I guess there's plenty of time left. There's a minute and a half left. But on this kickoff, you came around the outside of the ball. There's a golden opportunity here for him to be able to go ultra aggressive and attack after this ball. You took your time getting boost, coming around the ball, settling it down, moving it up the field, and he just sort of sat back and let you do all that. A more aggressive opponent is going to really punish you for going after that boost and dribbling it back towards your own goal. They're going to put pressure on. They're coming from your blind spot. I think you're a little lucky that he was so passive, but a good job once you recognize where he was to do the little diagonal flick past him, and then you've got to break away down the field. So he's having a little bit more success against that delayed kickoff. You should be noticing that at this point, and planning what your next little wrinkle is going to be on the kickoff. See, this is a good example of what didn't happen before when you were trying to clear it off the wall. It got under the ball, you're able to clear it way down the field over his head, led to a great shot opportunity. You missed, but it was a great opportunity that came from properly clearing the ball off the wall. And I like this, keeping the pressure up. And a good retreat there. You realized you didn't have position anymore. You had no good touch on the ball. Get some boost, get reset, and start to defend. Turns out he just gave the ball to you. Looked like he was setting up for a flick over your head, which would have worked if he was able to get this. So as soon as you see an opponent getting set up with the ball on their head here, right? So not long from now, you're in Gold 1, as you're moving through the gold ranks, you're going to see opponents be able to get the ball up onto their car like this, and then as soon as you get close, they're going to flick it up and over your head. So the way you've positioned yourself right here is in no man's land. Right? So it works out because he loses control of his dribble, and you end up with an easy goal. Against a better opponent, you're going to get scored on 9 out of 10 times here. You really either need to be on top of him before he gets the ball up onto his car like this, or retreating back to your net and waiting for an opportunity to attack. In this case, it worked out fine. Good kickoff, a little trouble settling it down after the kickoff. He did a good job of recovering to get pressure and bumping you off the ball. There's no real need to attack him in the corner here. There's not much threat until he starts to push it towards your goal. If you've got the read that he's losing control, then by all means go in there, attack, and try to clear it. But if he's got firm control of that ball, don't race into the corner. You're basically just pulling the goalie at this point. You're the goalie, and you're drawing yourself out of net to try to attack. and you might get a clear, but it's also possible that he's going to be able to get the ball past you uh, and lead to a good opportunity for him to score. Now you're sort of stuck in the corner, fighting with him, desperately trying to win possession. And once you've lost control of your car, it gives him time to recover and score. Just be patient in goal, wait for him to start to hit it towards you, get a more solid clear or challenge. Wading into the corner on defense like that is hardly ever a good idea. It was a good game overall. Great kickoffs. That's a real strong suit of yours. I think if you look back at this replay and see how many of the goals were scored off the kickoff for you, you'll notice that you were basically beat when it comes to sort of open field play. If you take out those kickoff goals, which is an important part, but if you take out the kickoff goals, you can start to see the areas where you need to work on a little bit. Reading that positioning, knowing when to attack. But overall, I think you did a good job in this particular game. Forward looking, work on the mechanical skills, speed things up. There's a delicate balance between patience and speed. Being patient doesn't also have to mean being slow, if that makes sense. Get after the ball, get into position quickly, and be patient in your decision making. That's really the biggest weakness I see here is you sort of seem tied to conserving boost, and it leaves you in bad position relative to the ball and the opponent. So think about where you are, especially on defense, in relation to the ball. Get yourself positioned in a way that stops the biggest threat, and keep working on those mechanical skills. The flights, the couple goals you gave up from, just botched aerials. That'll come with more training, more time, more gameplay. Not worried about that. So that'll do it.